freelancing internationally can open up amazing opportunities, especially when you're in South Africa and you are earning in dollars or euros or pounds. But those kind of things come with their own set of challenges, especially when it comes down to payments. So, in this episode, we're going to spill the tea on some of our own key strategies for ensuring smooth transactions so that we can deliver great work without the financial headaches. So yeah, I don't know if you want to kick us off, Shay, and have you had headaches with international payments? I'm sure you have, because we all have. So maybe you want to kick us off by let's have a bit of a moan, because we don't get to see many people and get to moan very often. So let's moan to each other.
Oh, and when we moan, we really relish it. So PayPal, oh my gosh, international clients love it. The fees are astronomical. Unless I'm doing it wrong, I don't know what your experience with PayPal is like, but I hate it. They love it. And please, can we stop using it? So what I'm kind of doing now is I actually don't even bother taking the money out of my PayPal account if it's, obviously not a huge amount that I need straight away. And then I'd rather use that amount. I don't take it out the platform. I use it and pay for it and pay with it instead of taking it out, because otherwise you're just paying such high fees. So PayPal is a real headache. Something else I would like to moan about. Is there anything you'd like to say on PayPal before I move on to my moan?
Yes, PayPal is a pain in the ass. So I actually have stopped accepting PayPal as a method of payment. I have multiple other, well, not multiple, but I have other ways that you can get your money to me. So yeah, I don't accept PayPal anymore. It's not worth it from a financial perspective because you're losing on the exchange rate as well as all the transaction fees. This is a problem with any international payment. But with PayPal, it's just the fees are astronomical, like you say. So no to PayPal. It's a hard pass from me.
Well, before we get on to my next moan, maybe we should talk about what platforms do work. So for me, it's Wise. I don't know if you've used Wise. I find them to be pretty seamless. There is a little bit of a, getting the client on board. Not all clients have heard of it. Not all clients are keen to set it up, especially if it's just a once-up job, a once-off job. But that's been my most seamless method.
My biggest client pays me with Wise, but I have a bit of a Wise horror story that I need to share with anyone who is not a sole prop, because I'm a registered PTY. So when I set up my Wise account, I set up as a business. So I had to jump through all sorts of hoops. I had to pay all sorts of registration fees because from a tax or accounting perspective, I want everything to be reflected in my business's name, not in my personal name. Yeah, it was an absolute nightmare to set it up. Once it was eventually set up, to give you a little bit of background, I had to get police affidavits. I had to pay extra to my accountant to get all sorts of registration letters and confirmation letters. Exactly. It was a nightmare to get it set up. And the problem with Wise is that not all, if you're a business, let me put it this way, if you're getting paid in dollars and you are a South African and need to extract it in rands, you can't link a rand account to a dollar payment. So I needed to then look at setting up an international bank account, which, as we know in South Africa, is basically impossible because you need to be, living in the country that you're setting up the account. So long story short, I had to set it up as a personal account. And so the money is being transferred from the client to my personal Wise. And then when I withdraw, it is now being reflected as a payment from myself to myself, which I'm making it my accountant's problem, but that is something to keep in mind. But fees-wise, it's much better. It's the best possible platform from a fees and exchange rate perspective. It is very competitive. So Wise for the win, as long as you don't try and jump through the PTY limited registering as a business.
So what do you use? What is your preferred then?
It is Wise. Otherwise, it is just a bank transfer directly into my South African bank. It's surprising how many people are still willing to do that. Companies are happy to do it. If you're working for individuals, not so much. Then they want credit card, PayPal or credit card. I have got accounting software. I work in Sage, and I set up the Paygates thing for credit card, and that was also a nightmare. You can only actually take payments in rands. So if you're invoicing in dollars or euros, you cannot accept a credit card payment for that on your Sage accounting software. So that's something else to keep in mind. So basically, it's give me the money in my bank or send it via Wise.
Okay. It feels like it should be easier than this.
It really is. And I mean, there's all kinds of, you still have to sign, what's that release letter for SARS?
BOP or whatever, BOP
Yes,
codes.
yeah, whatever.
So I mean, if anyone out there has a better solution that we're not aware of, please do let us know.
Yeah. What is that contract called? You have to sign it once a year. It's a SARS, South African Revenue Services thing. If we've got people listening from other countries, it's so that we're not bringing all kinds of weird foreign money in that's not being tracked and like under the radar. You have to sign a form once a year to get money into the country if you're taking international payments. It escapes me now. Anyway, let's not derail this conversation.
Just sign the form.
Just sign the form. Yeah. So let's speak about. Those were my methods. So you don't use PayPal anymore. You use Wise. What else do you use?
Otherwise, also bank transfer. But a lot of clients, it's a bit of a hoop for them to jump through sending them the Swift. You wouldn't think it is, but sending Swift codes and becomes a bit complicated. So I really try and aim for Wise. And yeah, absolute last resort, PayPal. If I just really just want to get paid. And that's it.
Yeah. So let's speak about exchange rate and taxes, etc., because if you are kind of hardcore into tracking cash flow and that kind of thing, the amount on your dollar invoice at the day that you invoice, the exchange rate, etc., is never the amount that you're going to get out, because it all depends on the day that they pay and the fees that are charged and all kinds of other taxes, etc. So do you have a method that, I mean, it would be a back end method to kind of control your cash flow, but how do you approach kind of these fluctuating exchange rates?
Yeah, so I'm not ATAP enough to care if it doesn't match on the day I send the invoice, but what I make sure I do is I build into my rate, a bit of additional to account for any kind of exchange fluctuations, bearing in mind, they're unlikely to be more than, quite a small kind of percentage point generally, unless something really crazy were to happen. In which case I'd probably just withhold my invoice if I could. So yeah, build that buffer into your rate, also accounting for the admin charges and the fees that we've spoken about. So just remember, whatever you are quoting, that is not the amount. You might get more if the exchange rate is in your favor. You might get less, but regardless, there's going to be some kind of fee involved. So just being mindful of that.
Yeah. If you are type A, I'm not type A, but my business coach really wishes that I was, and he cracks the whip every few weeks about my cash flow statements because I neglect them until he shouts at me. If you're listening to this, Kenny, I'm sorry, I haven't been tracking my cash flow again. So, but if you are type A and you're into kind of tracking that sort of thing, start a spreadsheet, track what you're getting in, how much your fees are, and you can kind of average that out over a year so that you can have more or less an average that you're earning and that you're paying in fees and taxes. So when you're doing cash flows and that sort of thing, you can kind of make a safe guesstimate on the amounts that you usually pay and usually are bringing in. So that's my...
And if you're B level like me, just add 20%.
Or be what, I don't even know what personality type I am. I just couldn't be bothered. So you can just ignore it.
Couldn't be bothered.
Yeah. So we're going to discuss pricing in the next episode, I think. But I am interested to know. Well, we are interested to know how you guys account for exchange rates and taxes, and that sort of thing. If how you accept international payments, please do pop us a comment or a DM on social. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe, and we will check you in the next episode.